Right there, geezers, Jules here from FGS, home of the Future Game Show. And you know what? Much like chewing electrical wires for fun, making fun of an American in a carry and conceal state, or going up to a Swiftie fan and just telling her that Taylor Swift's music is just okay and nothing more, death can come at you real quick in this life, to the point where I all just think we need to calm down a little bit and have a bit of a chill out session, alright? Thankfully though, we've got the medium of video games to indulge in, where death is but an inconvenience in most titles, and the ability to respawn and try again is only a button push away. However, don't be thinking that just because you're not the one greeting the Grim Reaper, that video game devs are going to take it easy on you, the player, because the games we're covering today just couldn't wait to put you 6 feet under. So let's have a chat, as I've covered this topic before and now I'm back with some more video games that kill you in seconds. And you know the drill, this is the Deep Cut with Jules Gill, baby! So expect to see video games you don't know about, need to know more about, or just haven't thought about in a while. And let's kick things off with Janitor Joe. Now hold on to your hats, kids, and brace yourselves, because we are about to enter the wild and ferocious world of custodial cleanup work. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, dude. In all seriousness though, Janitor Joe is a game where you play you guessed it, a Joe who has to clean up his work. And I know what you're thinking. It doesn't sound like a riot of a video game experience, except that is when you consider that Joe is actually a space janitor, that there are evil robots out there straight up trying to murder him, and also if he doesn't move quickly enough, he'll run out of oxygen and suffocate. Now I've done my fair share of Charlie work in my life, but not even the Newton Abbot Burger King was this harsh of a work environment, and there somebody smeared actual feces on the wall of the bathroom. Yeah. 2 days after my 17th birthday, that was. I didn't do it, by the way. That's kind of suggested that I did it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I maintain I did not do it. Still, it turns out that the most dangerous thing, aside from the fact that Joe definitely looks like that weird potato baby from Containment Breach, and that definitely opens up some horrible mental scars, is actually the hardware that you're playing on. As if you're using a DOS emulator to run the game, you'll be doing so on a PC that is likely, I don't know, like 100,000 times more powerful than the original platform, and as such, there's a few things that go a little bit haywire in Janitor Joe's back end. A deadly example of which comes in the form of the oxygen meter, which is tied to the refresh rate of your CPU, meaning that even high-end PCs, or hell, even potato graphics cards, will leave you gasping in about 5 seconds. What a brutal punishment for those looking to play this oft-forgotten classic. And even without this PC-accelerated lung decompression, the game will likely pie off a few lives right out of the gate, as Joe isn't exactly geared for battle, and those robots, well, they are looking to clamp him real good like. Anyway, let's move on and talk about Warhammer Space Hulk, the 1993 version. Okay, my friends, story time right now. Story time with the egg. What will Jules talk about next? Well, we're going to go back and briefly talk about my worst ever Warhammer match. A match that was near the end of my first run with the hobby before my school ruled that this was very uncool and that dorks, well, they get their models thrown out of the science lab window. This game lasted approximately 15 minutes and ended with me conceding so hard that I crept under the table and began weeping. Well, I nearly did that. I didn't even make it onto the table before I started crying, apparently. My opponent was an experienced player, did not inform me about his army's rules. We had next to zero terrain, he fielded a force exceptionally potent at shooting, and I was playing an army that had armor made of 2 vests worn over one another. He got the first turn, and I got to experience what is known in the Warhammer community as an alpha strike. Over half my army was deleted, and I couldn't mount any form of a comeback. Good game, I hope you rot in hell, Chris. Now, as you can imagine, this wasn't a feeling I was looking to replicate anytime soon, but much later in my hobby renaissance, I was introduced to the 1993 video game adaptation of Space Hulk, and I found myself grasping for a non-existent safety blanket. This game is like if the original XCOM series was a dungeon crawler, but set in space, and the enemies weren't some dopey-looking grey bobbleheads, but the stuff of actual nightmares. This game is a spider-holic, and has just been kicked out of to the family home, aka it is itching to wind you up. I say this because even though you're decked out in some lovely Terminator armor, which is nearly 3 inches thick at some point, and you have weapons that would level a building in seconds, it only takes one hit to bring you to your knees, and your so-called holy guns have a small chance, a infinitesimally small chance of piercing a gene stealer's hide, and get this, they jam all the bloody time. Holy relics, more like holy relic, my balls, brother. Couple this with movement and turning that would make the iceberg that sank the Titanic look like a car that featured in Tokyo Drift, and the fact that unless you pause the game, the action will play out in real time, it means that you've got 5 big dumb boohoo babies to look after at once, and you have a title that can be over in seconds if you're not on the ball or if RNGesus is out to lunch. Seriously, mate, where were you? No, I don't want your leftover Burger King chips. They're cold and manky. Now don't get me wrong, this game is heaps of fun, but there will be a pile of corpses big enough to give Corn a blood-filled boner long before you've got a hand on these mechanics. And speaking of boners, my friend, I've got a bone to pick with you, as it were, and that is that I've looked at the analytics and found that a fair few of you are still not subscribed to the FGS YouTube channel. What am I doing wrong? Am I too bold? Am I not bold enough? Hey, look, I can only be who I am, so I ask you, my friend, if you enjoy the content, then why not consider subscribing? We make daily gaming content for you lovely people, and to be honest, I bloody love doing it. So join in the fun, join in the party, and you can stay up to date with all of our weekly shows, including The Deep Cut with Jules Gill, a baby. But let's move on to a different world altogether, my friend. A world of doom, as we talk about Akalabeth, World of Doom. Now, with a name as cheery as World of Doom, you can't fault Akalabeth for misleading you in what kind of experience it's bringing to the table, as despite this being a truly brilliant old-school RPG that dropped in 1979, it carries with it that old-school mentality. And that mentality can be summed up in a little motto that I've come up with. If you don't prepare, you're dying right there. And this rather harsh life/death lesson is taught to the player right out of the gate, because it's here in the opening screen that you could straight up die. And before you think to yourself, oh, is this some sort of goblin party that's gonna pop out and bite my shins, or am I gonna walk past a collapsing piece of the stage like in King's Quest? Bloody love that. Well, you've got to remember that this is a title that lets you purchase items before your adventure officially begins, and one of these items is food and water. Yeah. Are you starting to join the dots? Because that's correct. If you don't think that provisions are a good investment, then you'll find your character will starve to death right as the game begins proper. Welcome, friends. Thank you for coming. Here lies the mighty Noobaloob, warrior of the ages, champion of Sweaty Man's Reach, defender of the black balloon of Nos, and rightful heir to the throne of uncomfortable sticks and branches. He died doing what he loved, mainly laughing about how much space he had left in his satchel and not eating, apparently. Here he lies, and may he remain here in peace forever. Or at least until the worms eat his face and I come back along, steal his skull, and turn it into a mug. Amen. So yeah, the next time that you're playing an old school RPG and you get the option to buy rations, do it, my friend. Stuff your face, as there's a good chance that you'll be plain old stuffed should you not choose to pack some jellied pork snout or fried cobalt lips. Delicious. Anyway, let's talk about the ancient domains of mystery. Oh my God, Jesus Christ, what the hell is that over there? What is that? Oh, that, my friend, is the winged wasp of gaming past, here to sting us with the knowledge of titles that exist before what we would term as graphics were a necessity and not just a gameplay feature. Sting away, brother. Teach me the pains of old school gamers. Ow. I feel like my head is like swollen like in that theme hospital game. And by that, I mean let's talk about the very first version of Ancient Domains of Mystery, a game in which you play as that hero of heroes, an @ symbol, because I tell you what, my friend, you are where it's at, my dude. It's just a shame that where it's at is also the crossroads of pain and suffering, as this game is so hard. It's brilliant, don't get me wrong, it's one of the most in-depth games I've ever played, but my God, please, do you have to steal my shoes after beating me unconscious and then breaking stained glass all over the floor? That's just a level beyond mean. It's also a game in which you can die in multiple ways in the first few minutes of starting your adventure, from getting mauled by a monster you didn't know was attacking you because the visual stimuli looks like a Pac-Man glitch, to starving to death because you didn't know that you needed to press a specific button to enter locations from the overworld, to my personal favourite, the extremely rare chance that you die before the game even begins. You see, one of the many brilliant and rather brutal features that Adom features is the truly in-depth character customization it comes with, in which you can pick your character's origin, profession, stat lines, classes, and race, all of which contribute to your final starting stats and abilities. However, if you've not spent hours on the Adom forums looking up how to actually build a character without dooming yourself from the first moment, well, you're going to do just that. And if you happen to build a character with low toughness and low starting HP, you might end up seeing the game overscreen straight away. Now, true, this will only happen if you've got a pitiful starting HP pool and start the game on a Monday, which, as a joke, subtracts 2d3 health from you, because who the hell likes Mondays? But it is very possible for you to die before your character has even drawn their first breath. You've gotta love it. But also I hate this. Anyway, let's talk about something that I absolutely love with all of my heart, shadow hearts. Okay friends, let's talk about a deep cut here that cuts deep when you realise how quickly it is fading into obscurity. Shadow Hearts for the PS2 is a brilliant, and I mean brilliant, RPG that features gothic horror, JoJo style stand transformations, dodgy voice acting, and a whole load of brilliant mechanics that just blends into a sumptuous buffet that will grip you for hours on end. It's also a game that wastes no time establishing the pecking order, which, as we all know, goes Mr. Popo, the immortal fancy wizard in this game, Roger Bacon, and then right at the bottom, so far that you can't even see it because it's gone off the screen, is you, because you get your ass kicked so badly in the opening moments, it's rather embarrassing. Now, in the opening moments of this game, as your rude hero character, you'll have just waltzed through two little demon dudes and started puffing out their chest a little, just how quickly they went down. And were likely feeling all sorts of spicy when you learned that you could transform into a demonic angel yourself, which dishes out the punishment in spades. However, Bacon is here with his own shovel to bury you, as after 3 turns of fighting him on top of the train, he obliterates you with a special attack that deals 999 damage. Oh, what's this on the floor? Oh, it's my prize. No, I'll tell you what, mate, don't bother picking that up. Just leave that be. I think it's best for everyone if we just walk away from this situation right now. Thankfully, this isn't the end for our rude hero, as it's a fight you're supposed to lose, but seriously, it most definitely puts the player on the back foot when Bacon lodges his own that far up your arse. Now, I know that there are a ton of titles, especially RPGs, that use this fated to lose fight mechanic, but I really wanted to include it here for 2 reasons. One being that this game, as before mentioned, is on the cusp of slipping out of the collective gaming memory, and 2, because this is actually tied to one of my all-time favourite brass bullets of gaming, Kudelka, which means I kind of have to shout about it any chance that I can. If you've not played that game, oh boy, you're in for a treat. Oh, why did I say it like that? Because it's ropey as but it's brilliant though. And set in Wales. Plied. Okay friends, let's talk about a game whose name I struggle to pronounce. Easy Toon Reboot R, or Easy 20N Reboot R, or Easy 20N Reboot R. Now friends, I won't lie to you. At one point in my sad, bold life, I was in a band. In fact, I was in many bands, all with names like Wet Dog Fart or Welcome to Totnes. And if you were passing by any house that I was in around, I don't know, like 2007 to 2010, you would have heard me clacking away long into the night. Why do you all look so confused? Oh, sorry, I probably should have stated that these were Guitar Hero and rock band groups that I was a part of, and me and my friends were chronically invested in what we termed Plastic Tat Mountain. We had nearly every single variant of the games, had all of the weird different guitars, and of course, I looked into modding my drum kit to allow double kit pedals and cymbals before these were added in later. I was in deep, brother. Oh, and I also should mention here, I was painfully single as well. Shock horror. But speaking of horror, you can imagine my face when, as a lover of the rhythm and rock genre, I was introduced to the utter ball-breaking experience that was Easy Toon. EZ2ON? EZ20N? How do you pronounce this game's name? It doesn't help that the community itself just keeps pronouncing it weirdly as well. I'll tell you what, if only the name pronunciation was the hardest thing about this game, because on higher difficulties, even the most basic songs can utterly obliterate you. But you know what? We're focusing on one track in particular, Sudden Death. And if that doesn't get the spidey senses tingling, the fact that you'll see a game over screen and just 2 failed notes surely will have you reaching for the bloody smelling salts. On this one track, the timing window for successful hits is dialed in so acutely that you actually have to be perfect with your button presses. And for each missed note, you'll lose huge chunks of your health. And this was even dialed up further for the remake of this game, in which you'd lose 99% of your health with one miss. This was like watching, I don't know, like Guns N' Roses in 2024, with you only needing to hear Axl screech one flat note to know you are absolutely done. Get out while you can, because it's just sad at this point. That's directly to Axl. And speaking of singing, let's talk about War Song, or Langrisser. And so we close on an example of a video game so relentlessly unchilled that it likely put off a ton of players from ever pushing forward, which, when you consider the outstanding depth and quality of this game, really is a shame. This, my friends, is War Song, or Langrisser, the Descendants of Light, if you want to put some respect on its goddamn name. A marvelous title in the same vein as Breath of the Wild and Final Fantasy Tactics that dropped all the way back in 1991. However, for many, the only war song that they would be singing in the opening section was that of humming the funeral march on the elevator to hell. I say this because right as soon as the player is given control of their party and given their one task, get the hell out of here and try not to die, I mean technically that's 2 things, but there's no time to argue because the walls are coming down and the enemy is invading your castle. Now, this being a video game, and with you being the prince of the kingdom alongside your best mates and greatest warriors, there's probably an expectation that you can batter these nameless goons in short order. But engaging with nearly any of these forces will result in you being stomped into the ground like you personally insulted their mothers. Now, who would do a thing like that, eh? Still, there's a reason you are told explicitly to get out of the castle, because if you engage with the enemy, you will be murdered in seconds. And even if you do win a few battles, you'll end up being swarmed by other forces, making escape impossible. Remember, my friends, a masterful retreat is in itself a victory. And then also consider this other famous quote, "F around and find out." Trust me, you don't want to. And there we go, my friends. Those were some more video games that killed you in seconds. I hope you enjoyed that, and let me know what you thought about it down in the comment section below. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me over on my Instagram and X over here, and you can follow my lovely editor Mark over here on his social medias as well. But before I go, my friend, I just want to say one thing. Like I said before, death can come from all angles, brother, so let's appreciate life while we've still got a chance to, and we can do that straight away by just being kind to ourselves. Remember, above all else, you deserve love, happiness, and success. We all do as human beings, so just start being more kind to yourself. You bloody deserve it, you big ledge, all right? You do. Trust me, you do. I want you to go out there and smash your life goals today, all right? Just build yourself that happy life. That's all I want for you, okay? As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.